Because I heard you say, you know, when you leave Clemson, you want to be mature, you want to be ready for the real world. How does how does somewhere like Clemson teach how people how to be young women in this society?
I think that's just where I gotta shout Poppy out. Um, just because he allows our players to just be themselves. And it sounds simple, but that's not normal. Like they have the ability to be who they are, be themselves, and grow through it. And if they choose the wrong path, we help them get back on the path. But it's just a special environment that we have here. And like you said, like the goal is to win basketball games and make sure that our players are ready for life after basketball. And so if we're able to do both, that means that we're doing our job. Um, if they're really good basketball players and they aren't ready for life, well, great. We had a great basketball team, but we failed at the big picture. And so I think that he's got a really clear head in what matters. Um, and that just trickles down to our staff, it trickles down to our players, and it's incredible just watching how our girls respond to him, how they respond to us, and you come in and you watch them be excited to get in the gym. That's not normal sometimes, especially for young women at times. And so it's been a lot of fun trying to get people to find their full potential. And there's times where like you might struggle like communicating with a player, and that happens. And there's times where you might not see it as a player until 5 years down the road. And I had so many moments that I'm like, wow, I probably should have been more appreciative of this back then, you
Oh
know?
my God, Mia.
Yeah, and when you take a pic, I like the way you pose a special way. Can deal with petty shit, I never let drama get in the way. And you can deal with none of your problems, cause you rather run away. It hurts the most when your family tend to be your biggest pain. Everybody getting older, but nobody seems to change. And when you really love somebody, certain things you just don't say.
Focus. Um, Special episode. So my background is blanked out, and a lot of people are gonna asking, why is that? Why is that? Here, that's Clemson. Out of respect for Clemson, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna back up. I'm gonna cover all this up. The correct orange
Thank you.
for the, for the other orange.
Thank you
And
for
but
that. We appreciate that.
but today we have on a very, very special guest. She has been a trailblazer in the game. She has gone from playing straight into coaching the teammates that she was once playing with. And she's gone from Tulsa. She's now at Clemson University. She's from Georgia, the great state of Georgia, the Peach State. Everybody, welcome to Fast Rate Focus, Sydney Means.
What's going on, man? Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining on. I know it's been a little minute to get you on, huh?
Hey, not too much, man. You don't need to tell people everything.
You know I gotta have my jokes. Question I
Fair,
like
very
to
fair, very fair.
get. My first question I always get into is where does your love for basketball start?
Man, it's so crazy. I've been playing basketball since I was 5 years old. I only played two sports growing up, and it was baseball with the boys and basketball. And my passion has been basketball since 5 years old. I picked up a rock, played on a little kiddie goal, and I just grew a love for the game, and it just took me places that I never thought it could take me. So super thankful for that.
Right. Now, I did read that you had two older brothers. Now, how much influence did they have on your basketball?
Uh, I got one older brother, one younger brother.
Okay.
My older brother, if he sees this, he's gonna be mad that I'm clowning. But now he was not a hooper. But I will say I'm gonna give him some credit. Drew, I'm gonna shout you out because he would get in the gym with me if I ever wanted to. He was like the best big brother I could ever ask for. Now my little brother, he did play in high school, and now he's on the scout team at Mercer where I played. And he's still afraid to play ones against me, so maybe one day he'll get over his fear.
Right. So, just being from Georgia and specifically Stone Mountain, if I'm correct,
Yeah, that's right.
who was hoops like around that time?
Man, Georgia girls basketball was high level. Like we had a bunch of high level athletes, a lot of talent. I actually went to my high school GAC so that I could be on like a better basketball program, on top of like the education, of course. But I'm gonna throw some names out at you, just if you recognize any of them. But I played during the era of like Andrea Carter, Diamond
Mm.
Shields, Taya Cooper, Jader.
Oh, I
There's
know
so
that.
many
I
good
know
ones.
some
So
of
I
those
don't want
names. I
to,
definitely know some of those
yeah.
names.
I say Lexi Brown, Kayla Davis,
Mhm.
Christina Nelson. I had a great high school team, but we had loads of talent. So for me, it was just a great place to be. Just the timing of it was perfect. Being able to have the exposure that I did. I played for the Georgia Pistols AAU organization, which at the time was a really large AAU organization. And we had a great team, great players, great coaches. It was just a really good setup for myself to get to where I am now, honestly.
Gotcha. And if I'm not mistaken, during your high school career, did you average you had 1,000, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
did. Yeah,
yeah. I
yeah.
did.
I
I
say it
did.
proudly.
I had great teammates.
Right, right. What now? At what point?
I had great teammates and I had great coaches.
At what point did you realize actually I'm actually really, really good at this game of basketball? Like actually play in college.
Man, honestly, that probably didn't come to me until I went to the Georgia Pistols AAU organization, and that was maybe in like the sixth or seventh grade. That's when I like really started to take it seriously. I had really good players on our team at the time. I played with AD Asia Durr for a really long time. We played together for years, and she was a special, special, special talent. And so between AD, Ted Cooper, we had Brianna Cummings. I mean, our whole roster was special, and so just being able to play against a lot of talented players allowed me to like see a vision of where I could potentially go in the future. And so that was, I mean, those were stepping stones, building blocks for myself to be able to figure out if I could do this long term. And here we are.
Right. So, what was your recruitment process like?
So my recruiting process was, it's actually funny. My very first offer came from Furman
Mm,
University, which is where my boss, Coach B, worked at. Now he came in like a little bit after they had offered me, but it's crazy how small
mhm.
this community is, the world is, especially in this industry. But you know, once you get one, then you start to get a couple more from a couple other places, typically the same level. I had a bunch of interest from the SoCon, the ASUN, Sunbelt. I ended up choosing Mercer. I loved my visit there. I just knew that I wanted to get out of Georgia. I'm like, I've been here my whole life. I need to go. But then I got the opportunity to visit campus a couple of times, and it felt like it was the right place. So, and I'm forever indebted to everything that Mercer gave me.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Time out. Back up. Now, you shout out your
Talk
teammates,
to me, talk to me,
and
talk
you
to
did
me.
have some great teammates, but you were rated number 88 overall and number 69 point guard in the ESPN Hoops girls.
I was, yes.
So, like, what was
But I think the ESPN was just my rating. The ESPN
right?
was just the rating. It wasn't like how they do it now. Like now it's 1 through like 100, and they
Hmm.
list the top 100 players. I wasn't number 58 out of the top 100. They just had my rating as like a B plus player.
Right.
So don't try to gas because I wasn't that great out of high school. I had to grow and develop
Right.
and gain a little bit of muscle and figure it out
Well,
because I was a scrawny little kid.
well, we were two-time 7A all region. So, I'm gonna brag on you a little bit. You ain't gotta brag on yourself. I'll do
Thank
it.
you.
So, what do you really remember most about just your college, I mean your high school career? especially?
High school career was great. Going to a private high school allowed me the opportunity to play with some really good basketball players.
Hmm.
So on my team at one point in time, I got to play with players that went to Notre Dame, Penn State, Winthrop, George Washington, um, Texas. And so there are um, just a bunch of opportunities that were afforded to me by being at GAC at that high school.
Hmm.
And so I thought that my head coach, Cal Boyd, shout out Cal Boyd, haven't talked to him in a minute. I'll probably text him later today, just check on him. But I could be a knucklehead at times, and I'm well aware of that now. And so I hope he does see this. I might just send it to him. But he put up with me and he was patient with me and he was gracious with me. And I thought that we had an incredible team. And we made it to the state championship game my freshman year. We ended up losing to Andrea Carter, which is really unfortunate
Mm.
because we did beat her earlier in the season. And I'm still not over it, and we still have beef to this day because of it. But nah, I love you, Dre. But it's just been a special experience being able to go to GAC, have that career, and then allow it to kind of springboard me to Mercer in the college game.
Right. And so, like you said, just visiting Mercer, you knew that it was the place for you, right? Now, how was the transition going from high
Yeah.
school, then all of a sudden now I gotta wake up at these 5 a.m. workouts. I gotta do the training during the off season. You know, as a high school student, you get the summers off really most of the time. Not in college. How did you adjust to that?
hmm Oh, it was hard. My freshman year, I say it all the time. I've had a harder year since then, but I used to say my freshman year was the hardest year of my life, and I would still put it in the top five hardest years of my life. But it was just tough. It's an adjustment. The pace is different. The actual knowledge of the game is different, like having to grow my IQ, having to understand what my coaching staff wanted. It was hard. And that's kind of why I wanted to take a deep dive and be a coach because if I didn't have good people around me throughout my 4 years of college, it would have been a lot harder for me. But freshman year, that's no joke. And so I think now being on the other side of it, it's our job to push and then continue to love on every single one of our players because it's a whole lot of change
Whole
coming
lot.
at you all at once.
So, your freshman year, you don't play as much. Now, your sophomore season, you get a little bit
Mm-mm.
more, you get a little more playing time. Not as much, but you get a little bit more. What did you
Break out.
learn going from that hard year? What did that hard year, your
Break.
freshman year, teach you going forward?
Honestly, to just stick with things. Like there were multiple times towards the end of the year where I wanted to leave, I wanted to quit, I wanted to be a regular student. And my parents encouraged me to give it one more year. Just give it another year. And if it's not what you like, then, we're not going to make you do something you don't like for 4 years. We want you to enjoy college, but like just give it another shot. And I'm so glad I did. That was the best decision I've probably made in a long time. Is just knowing to stick with things and to not give up when things get hard.
Mhm.
Because my sophomore year, I would call that honestly, like the numbers weren't crazy, but I'd call that my breakout year in a sense of like knowing who I am as a basketball player, understanding my value, understanding my worth, just from a basketball standpoint. And so um, I just encourage anybody that's listening to this is just stick with things and try your hardest, don't give up, and things work out.
So, if I'm just reading, if I'm reading this correctly, you went from
What you
your
got?
sophomore season. You redshirted your freshman year, did you?
No, I didn't redshirt. I just didn't play, man.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Nowadays you could redshirt.
Right.
I didn't redshirt. I was just sitting on the bench.
So your sophomore season, you end up you played 33 minutes a game. You up your scoring to almost 11 a game, a little over 11 a game actually. and you up your assists, you up everything. What was the
Mhm.
confidence? Did the coach have confidence in you? What what happened in your life to now the court looks easier?
Um, I think a big piece of that is growth and development. Me as a person, as well as me as a player, I couldn't have done it without my coaching staff. Couldn't have done it without good teammates. Couldn't have done it without my parents and my friends. I think basketball, there's so many different aspects to the game. Obviously, you've got the skill set, but there's a very large mental part of the game as well. Just making sure that you stay sharp in all areas is really important. And there was just clarity to me from a basketball skill set standpoint, like I belong here, I can do this. And then knowing that I had the belief of our coaching staff to be able to run a team
Hmm.
and lead. That was huge for me, just knowing like, there's a lot to be said when you know that you don't have as long of a leash. I mean, that you don't have a short leash and that you can make some mistakes and
Hmm.
stay on the floor. And the relationship I had with Coach Gardner, my head coach, was phenomenal. So I think that was a piece of it too, was just being able to have a two-way street when it came to player to coach.
Yeah. So then your junior year, you really start to play and you really get to going. You up your assists, you up your rebounds, your points take a dip a little bit, but your field goal percentage stays about the same. 3-point percentage, we're not gonna talk about it. That we'll skip over that. But what now is like that
Oh
year
no,
two
wait now.
of
My 3-point percentage was 40%, wasn't it?
not your senior year, not junior year, not senior year, your junior
Or
year.
nah, my senior year was 40%. My junior year,
Yeah.
I averaged like 12 points though.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You did good. You did good. But it was what now is that year two looking like of now I got the confidence of my team, got the confidence of my coaches. I'm starting to feel confident in myself. What is that year two looking like for you? Of year two of playing, I should say. Third year, but year two of
When you
really
say
playing.
year two, you're talking about junior. Okay. All right, I'm a for my brain's sake, I'm gonna say my junior year because even though I didn't play my first year, I had to grow up a lot. So,
Hmm.
my junior year is interesting. It's unique because I would say that from just a basketball playing standpoint, that was my best basketball of my career. Um, if you were to go and look at the numbers, you'd see like the junior year, that was the year that Sydney Means was playing her best basketball from a stats standpoint, which I think is really interesting because if I was somebody that only cared about stats, I would be super happy. But we also lost for the third time in a row in the tournament championship in the tournament games. So, as you know, in a small league, if you don't win the tournament, you don't go to the NCAA tournament. So, at that point, I got a taste of what college looks like my freshman year. I got a taste of going to the championship game my sophomore year and losing. And then so like going to the championship game my junior year and losing, that was gut wrenching. And so it almost like in my head negated all the work that I put in for myself personally. Now my senior year, you can go and look at the stats and like numbers drop a little bit in certain areas. I wouldn't call that my best basketball, but we were winning. And I thought that my leadership was at the highest level that it's been. I thought that our team togetherness was at the highest level it's ever been. And you know, you learn lessons every year. Like that was a lesson to me is like this game is not about me. Like find ways to help your
Hmm.
program succeed. And that meant scoring a little less my last year and winning more games. You know, like
Yeah.
it's just that is what it is. And sometimes that's what it takes. So um, it was a special journey. Like the whole process was just God sent.
Yeah. And so, like you said, your points take a dip a little bit, but your assists go up. You average about two more assists a game. So, you take away a point to add 2 points, to
Mhm.
the assist. So, what was it about that senior year? It was like you just said,
Yeah, I'm with it.
like you just said, I'm trying to. Well, now I'm playing. I'm not scoring as much, but now we're winning more. How did you come to that determining factor? Like this is not my new role.
That's honestly my senior. That's all I wanted. I work with um, two people on staff that beat me in college. And so I get to hear about it all the time. But the only thing I cared about was finding a way to win. And sometimes it just looks different. Depends on the makeup of your team. We had really talented players. I had a girl on my team that got drafted to the Minnesota Lynx at Mercer. Like that's unheard of, but she was a hooper, like she needed the ball to go in her hands. And it wasn't just her. Like we've got two other pros that are still playing now on our team. And so for me, it was just the recognition that you don't have to do everything yourself, and you haven't been. I mean, we had great teammates. So for me, it was just a matter of like, what can you do to have an impact to find a way to win? And I think that was just the thing that clicked the most for me is like, all right, I hate the feeling of losing. We got to figure this thing out and let's do whatever it takes to find a way to win.
Right. So before we, actually, let's jump to your college, your coaching a little bit. Right as your senior year was ending, you got a call saying, when you after the championship, come home, come see me, come holla at me. You said coaching wasn't even in your brain before. You
That's
said that
it.
before. And
Yeah.
what about coaching at that
Mhm.
point was interesting for you?
For me personally, it wasn't a thought in my mind because I didn't view it as a career that I could grow in until they reached out to me and was like, do this. And it sounds silly because obviously I was around the game for so long. My whole plan, my dream was to be in like broadcasting, journalism, find a way, whether that was color analyst or just something within the realm of athletics. And if I could be on camera doing interviews, that would have been great. And so until I got that call, that was the first thing that clicked in my mind of, oh wow. And then like once it clicked, it was like this is something that could be really, really, really special. And so I completely changed gears, shifted gears. Coach Gardner, shout out Susie, gave me an opportunity that I could not pass up and started my career by offering me the assistant job right out of playing. And that's not heard of too often. And
No.
so I am forever indebted to her for the opportunity that she gave me to get my foot in the door.
How weird was it going from these are my teammates, now I'm coaching these young women? How weird was that?
Man, it was hard. It was like you want to talk about hard. I thought my freshman year was hard. That year was hard, and it could have been harder, but I had such amazing teammates that accepted me and allowed me to be in that role, in that position. Because I mean, that's tough. It's tough to have to go from being friends with everybody on your team to having to create a boundary at some point, like for professionalism. And then having to tell them what to do and not play with them anymore. It's different. But I'll never forget. It was Amanda Thompson. She was on our team. She was the toughest player I know. But she was like, you've been our point guard for the last 3 years, and you were our leader on the floor. Now you're just in a different leadership role.
Hmm.
And the way that she had worded it, how she said it to me, it was so accepting. And she had just made me feel so comfortable and confident to be able to be in that role. And so it was super unique to be able to do that. And I got to coach point guards, which was awesome. And Coach Gardner was very patient with me as I learned. And so I think that that was huge as well, just being able to have patience as I make mistakes.
Right. And I know it was difficult, but was there times where your teammates were like, man, you was just with us last year, man. Don't be giving me that crap.
Man, I had good teammates. And I try my best to act like that. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But I mean, like, yeah, we could talk to each other. They're gonna be like, "Come on." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, you got it." But I mean, they were great. There wasn't, and we won that year. Like they won a championship. And when I graduated, there were a lot of people talking about how like the team wouldn't be as good, not because of me, because Kalia Lawrence, the one that got drafted, was leaving. And there was a lot of talk about how the team wouldn't be so good. So they chip on their shoulder naturally because of that. And so the moment they won a championship and everybody's cutting nets off, they're like, yeah, who said we couldn't do it? And
Right.
they're the winningest class in Mercer history. Yeah, great people, great basketball players, even better humans.
I know that's right. And so now you're getting your chance. You got recruited. Now you're getting your chance of first time really recruiting. How was
Mhm.
that transition for you? They like, was you good at recruiting when you first started?
In year one, I didn't even know how the world worked. You know, being on the other side of it, it's so different. Like you live in your own bubble, your own realm, and you don't realize how the recruiting process actually is. You just know coaches are calling you, trying to get you on campus and
Hmm.
want you to be at school, you know? So didn't even think about the countless hours that coaches spend in the gym, all the notes that you put in to make sure that you're organized, like just the time and the relationships built over an 8 year span. If you're recruiting somebody in the ninth grade and you expect them to stay until their senior year of college, that's 8 years of investment. And so you get to really know a family, you get to really know kids, and then you also have to like live with the fact that not every single recruit you have is going to come to you, and understand that piece as well. And so no, I literally was so green going into the process, trying to understand what it was, and I keep saying it because it's super important, but I had just really good people around me to help guide me as I was growing through that. But I mean, it was great. You get to travel and watch hoops for a living. I mean, I'll take that 10 out of 10 times.
I know that's right. But nah, that was the
So,
that was the first time I ever heard somebody put it in that perspective. It's an 8-year investment. I've never heard that before. That's good right there. I can't lie to you, Sydney. That's good, right? That's good money right there.
I appreciate that, man. And now it's crazy because you got the portal. So if
Hmm.
somebody's staying at college for 4 years, like that is unique. Like that
Yeah.
is special. And so who knows? Like it might be a 6 or 7 year investment nowadays, but it doesn't
Hmm.
matter. You put the time in to get to know these families, and it's not just the player, you know, you're
Right.
recruiting family and the people. So, but no, it's great. It's been enjoyable. Being young and traveling is nice. As I get older, we'll see if my limbs still like airplanes as much. But nah, so far.
So you end up getting the opportunity to go to Tulsa, Tulsa University. What was that experience like, and how did you get that call?
It was great. I actually played for the head coach that's currently at Tulsa. So she was my
Hmm.
position coach at Mercer. And so that was the connection that we had. And I always told myself that I'm really big on just like not being comfortable and to get out of your comfort zone. Also, I had spent 7 years both player and coach at Mercer.
Hmm.
And so I was getting to the point where I just wanted to see how it would be learning from another program. And so I thought it would be a good step. And I also wanted to do it with somebody that I knew, somebody that I trusted. And so Angie Nelp got the head job at Tulsa, and she was gracious enough to add me to her staff. And I keep saying the word growth, but you want to talk about uh growth years, like Tulsa, where that was my first time living out of Georgia. It
Hmm.
was my first time working with somebody that wasn't Susie Gardner as the head coach, and it was great. I learned so much, and I'm indebted to Angie as well.
So Mercer is obviously a bigger college than Tulsa University. What was the biggest trip?
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah, yeah, kind of. But what was the transition from Tulsa's in Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, Tulsa is in Oklahoma. Sure
So
is.
that's a culture shock, first of all. Talk about forget the basketball. Hold on, put the basketball aside for a second. What was the culture shock difference between Georgia and Oklahoma?
I'm not gonna lie. I loved it. I love Tulsa. Tulsa is like one of those cities, it's like a hidden gem. People just don't know about it. Like you hear it and you think of like First 48 and like things that aren't great, which I get, I understand. But there's a lot of history out there, both good and bad history. So I got to learn a lot just about the history and that you don't get to learn in textbooks sometimes.
Mm.
So I would encourage anybody to just go visit Tulsa. But it was, I live downtown. A lot of people don't realize that there's over like 600,000 people that live in the city. And so it's the biggest like city that I've lived in outside of like that Atlanta area. And so, tons to do. Yeah, no, look at your face. So, for me personally, I enjoyed it because there was tons to do. It was a like a nice city, and so it. I think my experience would have been very different if it was like a very, very, very small like town. I think that would
Mhm.
have been a struggle for me, but I met good people and plenty of places to eat and hang out. So it was great.
And Tulsa and just the state of Oklahoma in general is really a football, but they love basketball low key. What was the support of the fans like
Mhm.
and just like that overall atmosphere?
You know, it's cool because honestly, I've seen this at Mercer, I've seen it at Tulsa, and I'm starting to see it at Clemson here. There's nobody that's just sprinting to go to a women's basketball game right now. Now, women's basketball is like way on the come up right now currently. Um, but you got to win games. Like winning matters, and we are continually trying to get people to come to games, and I think that my time at Mercer, the moment we started winning, that's when the fans started to show up and it felt like you actually had a home game. Um, at Tulsa, we were in a build, and so we had to every single year we progressively got better, and we went to the trying to think of the tournament, and I can't think of it now. It was the WBIT.
Yep.
Sorry, it's a brand new tournament, so I had to
No,
think
you
about
good.
it. We went to WBIT. Um, and the fan support that we had there, I mean, we got 3 home games out there because of our fans. And so, um, and here at Clemson, I think that the fan support has been just steady rising. And so for me, I don't think that we started with them, if you want to be completely honest with you. But if you put a product on the floor
Hmm.
that makes people want to come back, you get them there one time, and then people start to talk about you a little bit.
And that's what I was gonna transition to Clemson because you said something in an interview, or it might have been just a clip of you talking that I found really interesting. You said Clemson is known for football, but they're investing and they're wanting to invest in their women's basketball as well. Can you speak on first just the transition to Clemson and the fact that you now have the backing of a program, and what does that mean to have the know I have the university behind me?
Yeah, especially in these days, I think it's huge. I grew so much in Tulsa, and I had such a great experience there. But as we've said throughout this talk, I'm from Georgia, and so being 15 hours away from home was really hard for me. And so Coach Poppy, he got the Clemson job, and once he brought me on staff, it just made the most sense for me to come to Clemson. One, the dude is a winner. If you were to go look at his bio, it's unreal the way that he wins. And so if you don't want to be a part of a winning culture, then I don't know what you're looking for. um, Two, he's a family guy. He's got 3 little boys that travel with us on the road, and that has been traveling with him at Chat. And family really, really, really matters to me. And then obviously, like last piece, Atlanta is hour and a half away from Clemson. And so for me personally, being close to home was a brand. So that's kind of the transition of me from Tulsa to Clemson. Um, from like a fan support standpoint, we're going into year three. Our first year we won 14 games, and this year we won 21 games. And that's a massive jump from year one to year two. Went to NCAA tournament second time in 23 years, and I think that our fans can feel it.
Mm,
And it's the same thing. You win games and that'll help get to where you want to go. But like Clemson, like the university itself, they care about athletics. And that's not a thing everywhere. Like they don't just care about football. They care about women's basketball and softball and baseball and tennis and soccer and etc. But going to a university where Clemson prides themselves, are like the whole culture. They say the best is the standard. It's like our football like motto,
hmm
but you see the best is the standard from like that realm of things, and that's how we operate. It's like we want to be the best. And so I think that especially this day and age, it's really important for you to choose a university that you know is going to back athletics, and we have that here.
right. Now, I've seen your most recent mic'd up. I watched it.
Okay, okay,
You're very passionate. You love talking and teaching to the young women. You
sure.
have a lot of energy when you're out there on the floor. What is the difference between you see in Sydney from year one at Mercer to now here at Clemson doing big things?
That's a really, really good question. For me, I will never forget this moment in my coaching career, and Susie Gardner did it. And I remember in the moment being like, why would she do that? And then now, like looking back at it, I'm just so grateful. But she had one practice where she just filmed my movements. She had a manager, like, didn't tell me it was happening. She filmed my movements as a coach and like what I was doing, what I wasn't doing, and like we met about it afterwards, like that next week or whatever. And she's like, "Here, like this is what you're doing here. Like I want you to do this. Like feel free to jump in here. Like don't be afraid to use your voice, and just continue to help me um, find my way within coaching." And that was a moment that I'll never forget because at first I was like, why would she do that? And now I'm like, I wouldn't have known the way that I am on the court without seeing it. And so now I try to be myself. I try my best to relate to our players while still accountable. I think that's really important. And then just continuing to, I think my job is to bridge the gap between player and the head coach and making sure that they're always on the same page, especially coaching point guards up,
Mhm.
making sure that my voice is an echo of Coach Poppy's voice, which can then be related back down to our players. I think that's great. And this past season, we had a great group of guards that really bought in and listened, and I thought that was incredible.
Right. And so like I said, you're very passionate. You just spoke about, your coach speaking to your passion and showing you off and everything. And what is it about now this coaching opportunity for you to teach other women how to play this game basketball and be young women? Because I heard you say, you know, when you leave Clemson, you want to be mature. You want to be ready for the real world. How does how does somewhere like Clemson teach how people how to be young women in this society?
I think that's just where I gotta shout Poppy out. Um, just because he allows our players to just be themselves. And it sounds simple, but that's not normal. Like they have the ability to be who they are, be themselves, and grow through it. And if they choose the wrong path, we help them get back on the path. But it's just a special environment that we have here. And like you said, like the goal is to win basketball games and make sure that our players are ready for life after basketball. And so if we're able to do both, that means that we're doing our job. Um, if they're really good basketball players and they aren't ready for life, well, great. We had a great basketball team, but we failed at the big picture. And so I think that he's got a really clear head in what matters. Um, and that just trickles down to our staff, it trickles down to our players, and it's incredible just watching how our girls respond to him, how they respond to us, and you come in and you watch them be excited to get in the gym. That's not normal sometimes, especially for young women at times. And so it's been a lot of fun trying to get people to find their full potential. And there's times where like you might struggle like communicating with a player and that happens. And there's times where you might not see it as a player until 5 years down the road. And I had so many moments that I'm like, wow, I probably should have been more appreciative of this back then, you know?
hmm And so now this part of the interview is I like to get off of the timeline a little bit and just some things that I found interesting on the internet. And just some
All
questions
right, what
about
you got, man? What you
your journey, right? Now I'm gonna put you on the spot here for this first one, okay?
all right,
I'm gonna put you on the spot. You like Georgia
all right, what you got?
peaches or do you like low country boils?
Okay, all right. I am choosing a low country boil every day of the week over Georgia peaches. Georgia peaches are cool. They're cool. I like peaches, don't get me wrong. But if I had to choose, I'm choosing a low country boil.
Gotcha. And then one thing I saw is you gave a lot of credit to your parents. Just the way they raised you and
Mhm.
who you are as a young woman today. What are some funny stories that you could share about your parents and with some of the things that they instilled in you?
Man, neither of my parents can hoop. So it's funny to me that I took that route anyways, because my dad would swear to you he could hoop, but neither of them could hoop. So I would say that the fact that they still put the time and the effort to get me the training that I needed, knowing that they couldn't help me train, was that was probably I don't know if that's funny. It's funny to me because I'm like, how did I even get into hoops? But nah, yeah, I gotta shout out the Rents. They made a lot of sacrifices down the way, and hopefully now that I'm older, I can continue to try to repay them for that.
Now, I seen one thing on social media that is full of your timeline and you don't even notice. And you probably do know it, but I'm gonna point it out. You love water. I don't know what it is.
Oh,
You love traveling where there is water. Can you speak on what did it do? What did the water do for you? Because you're everywhere.
it's therapeutic, man. It's therapeutic. It's funny you say that. That's like the only thing that like I felt like I was missing when I was in Oklahoma. Is like there's no water out there. But yeah, like honestly, it's funny because I didn't like the outdoors like at all
hmm
until COVID. COVID happened and I got stir crazy. I'm like, I gotta get outside. And I got outside and I like started hiking and tried to check out as many state parks, waterfalls that I could around that time. And I just realized how much I was missing. Like God created this beautiful earth, and there's a moment where I'm like, I haven't even been experiencing some of this. And so that honestly, that changed my perspective just on getting outside, touching some grass, they say. But I had to, I had to make sure that I was well rounded. Didn't want to
Right.
be inside all.
I'm not sure, but you're from Georgia, so you might have heard this, the Amaretta song, Sorry Not Sorry, where she talks about these places are not Atlanta.
Right.
Do you claim Atlanta when you go out go out
Yeah.
to Georgia?
Okay. Yes. I will say that I'm from Atlanta, knowing good and well I'm not from Atlanta. But listen, hear me out. People really don't care. Like if I'm in Dallas, Texas, and somebody's like, "Well, where are you from?" I say Atlanta. And if they're from Georgia and they're like, "Oh, what part? I worked there," then yeah, I'll be like, "No, I'm not really from Atlanta. I'm from Stone Mountain and I lived in Gwinnett." Like, like
Yeah.
but if I'm talking to somebody that isn't from the state, they're not gonna know where Loganville, Georgia is or Stone Mountain. So I'm just, yeah, I'm from Atlanta.
Gotcha. So I seen you've been to different countries, you've been to different places, you've been the waterfall here, ocean here, surfing here. Yeah, I seen it all. I
Yeah,
seen it all. So, because I like to do my research on somebody, where is your dream vacation, and
I
where's somewhere that, sorry, where's the best place you've been to that you would definitely go back, and where's the place that you haven't been to that you wish you can go?
okay. Best place that I've been to that I will always go back to is Greece. I love Greece.
Hmm.
Um, a place that I want to go that I haven't been yet. I'll say Brazil. Because I want to visit the seven wonders of the world before I die, and
Me too.
Brazil
Me
has
too.
one of them. So
Me too. Me too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm planning trying to get to Brazil at some point in my life.
You owe me that drink, so we'll talk about it. No, I'm just joking. I'm joking. I'm
Come on, man. Come on.
joking.
I'm all good. The more the merrier. Let's go.
Gotcha. So, the last little section I have for you is, I call this just a motivational time. I ask you a few questions and like a few fill in the blanks and stuff like that as well. And I just want you to know,
Okay.
just to motivate the next generation of hoopers. My first one
Mm.
is, and I usually always start with this one, is women, fill in the blank, women's basketball is.
Women's basketball is here.
That's a good one. That's a
And
good
I
one.
say that because we keep talking about how it's growing, it's growing, it's growing, and it is. But I think that we have hit a point where people are paying attention to women's basketball. And you just gotta continue to ride the wave because it's gonna be a point when people are watching it and it is the sport. So I am grateful to be in this industry. I don't know if
No,
I'm supposed to speak on it. Let
no,
me
no, you
know.
know, hey, say whatever is at your heart, you
Do I
say
feel it? I
it.
bet. I bet.
So, there you just said the game is growing. There's, it's fast, it's growing fast too, by the way. There's a lot of young girls that are out there watching. What is something you wish every young girl that wants to chase basketball, what is something that you wish they understood before the game teaches them this?
Mm. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. I think that's in basketball and in life. There's so many um there's so many things out there now that can distract you, that can make you compare yourself to others. Social media is a thing now. Like, get outside and go work. Enjoy the journey and like just don't allow yourself to be down because maybe somebody else's journey looks different than yours.
Now, everybody talks about the rankings, NIL, they talk about how many followers you got, like you just said, social media. When you're recruiting a player, what's something that instantly stands out to you, the good or the bad? That people won't even notice that, like, I didn't even know that coaches pay attention to this.
I love just watching what kind of teammate they are. Uh, I think that says a lot about your impact on winning is how you treat your teammates, even if you're the best player on the floor. And so for me personally, like the talent's going to be clear to see, especially when you're playing at a high level. In the ACC, like we're recruiting high caliber kids. But for me, it's like, what are your intangibles and how are you bringing people along with you to be able to find ways to win?
Right. Now, fans see everything. They see game day, they see the recruiting, they see NIL, they see what the head coaches go through. What's the hardest part about it being an assistant coach that other people do not see?
Ooh, hardest part. Um, it's interesting because we get a say, but you don't get the final call. So you gotta be okay with that.
Mhm.
And I think that the best thing about our staff is that we have everybody on our staff is okay with that. But that can get hard because you're not, staff is like a family. Like you spend so much time together, you collaborate, and you're gonna agree sometimes, and you're not gonna agree sometimes, and that's okay. As long as when you leave that office, everybody's on the same page when you go down and work with your players.
Mhm.
Um, but I think, I mean, obviously, like sometimes, like maybe you have an opinion that isn't what we're going to implement. Like you just can't, don't get your feelings hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not that deep. And once you have your own program, you can go and do that. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah. And I only have a few more questions for you. I know I said 30 to 45 minutes. We've been going for 50 minutes, so I'm sorry. I apologize.
It was based on vibes. So I'm like, I must be a good vibe, I guess.
You are. It's been a good time. Um, there's a
All
lot
right,
of,
bet.
like I said, there's a lot of young girls out there watching. What is a moment out there that almost made you quit? And what would you give to any young girl? What advice would you give to any young girl going through a hard time in basketball?
Oof. My freshman year, it's hard. I had some health stuff, and on top of having some health stuff, I wasn't playing. So you got health stuff, not playing, being away from home, like that just that's a storm of brewing. And so um I wanted to quit. Like I wanted to quit basketball. I wanted to quit hoops. And I said it earlier, I'll say it again, like don't. I think it's really important to see things through. When things get hard, like go harder. And there'll be a time when you know when you need to walk away from something, but don't go prematurely. Like that is just my advice is don't give up and keep going and like just find a way to work and the work will pay off.
Yeah. And two more questions. Um, my second to last one is you you talked about how you know going you as soon as you got done with basketball, you went right into coaching. But there's a lot of opportunities that's not there for
Mm,
those kids. And you've coached a bunch of those kids. You play with a bunch of those kids who basketball stops right at that final whistle. What would
mm,
you say to any
yeah.
young women out there struggling, knowing that next year might be my last season, or this year basketball just stopped for me? How do I continue? Because for a lot of kids, this has been their identity since 7, 8, 9, 10 years old.
hmm I think that's huge. I also think that that's a part of why we do what we do is making sure that our young women know that their identity is not in the sport and that the sport is a vehicle to help them get through life, but it's not who they are. And so that they'll be ready for when the ball stops bouncing, whether that's after they're done playing overseas, they're done in the league. Um, it's so important that they know that every single thing that they brought to their team can also be a transferable skill in the workplace. And being an athlete, you have so many transferable skills that you don't even realize until you get out there and it's like, oh, okay, like I've been on a team. I understand time management. I understand what it's like to have to go through conflict. And so there's so many people that stress. You see it a lot in seniors. You see a lot of senior stress as the season goes on because they know that that time is running out. And I mean, it's a stressful time. It's easier said than done. But I just think it's really important for every single player, women's basketball, but any athlete to know that they're more than their sport and you can go and do whatever you set your mind to because you've been doing it this far anyways.
Yeah. And I don't know if you watched the podcast, but my final question, as always, is I need a Coach Sydney's quote.
Mm. Okay, all right. I actually, this is easy. My quote is be where your feet are. I think it's really important, especially in these times. There's so many people that are looking at what's next and trying to, they stress about the future and they worry about tomorrow. Um, and I say be where your feet are, but it goes back to my faith is like you can't live with a spirit of fear. We can't worry about the troubles of tomorrow because today has enough of its own. And I think that that's just important in life. Obviously, like you set goals and you have plans for yourself. Like I understand that, but also enjoy like where you're at right now. If you live a life not enjoying where you're at, then you're going to continue to live that life no matter where you go. So be where your feet are sometimes and enjoy life. You only get one of them.
Gotcha. Sounds good. That's a really good quote. I like that one. I like that one. Be where
All
your
right,
feet
wait.
are.
Before we end this podcast, though, yeah, before we end this podcast, I got one question for you.
Hey,
Are
fired
you ready?
away.
All right. Why did you decide to start a podcast specifically on women's basketball?
I love that question. I love when I get asked that question. My dad actually, with his best friend, started an AAU program in West Virginia for women to help them get them to college because they were realizing that a lot of women were not getting an opportunity in the neighborhood that they grew up in. And I got an opportunity to be a part of it at a young age. And I seen how much you guys are really good at the game of basketball. I said, women are tremendous athletes. And one thing that really got me is early on, probably around, I say about right before COVID, I started watching podcasts and I started realizing that there are so many podcasts for other male athletes that women are not getting their voices told,
Mm-hmm.
they're not getting their voices heard, they're not telling their stories. And I'm watching NFL seventh round draft picks on podcasts talking about their story, and I'm like, there's so many women out there that do not get this opportunity. So I said, I will interview anybody that has to do with women's
Right.
basketball. I don't care if they're at the biggest school, the smallest school, college, high school. You all women have a story. And like I said, I've been a big supporter of women's basketball for a long time, and I've heard a lot of stories. I was like, oh, man, more people need to hear that type of stuff. That truly is the reason I started this podcast.
Mm-hmm. No, that's great. I had to ask because, it's always interesting to see um, people, especially males, like in this space, like trying to help grow the game. And so, one, appreciate you, appreciate the time, appreciate you leading this podcast, starting it off, and hopefully it grows exponentially and goes places that you never even thought of.
Gotcha. And the only thing I ask for you is I ask this for most people that I interview. I usually ask at the end, but I'm gonna ask on camera. Who is somebody whose story that needs to be told that I should reach out to?
Someone's story that needs to be told. I'm gonna give you one. She was a graduate assistant for us
Mhm.
last year. Now she's a video coordinator for the Minnesota Lynx. Her name is Amani Lewis. I can send you her information.
Yes.
I'll tell her that I sent you, but I think that she's got a very unique story. Really, really, really phenomenal hooper. Got into coaching, and she's had a different journey, and now she's in WNBA. And so I think she would be a really, really good option.
Gotcha. And I'll definitely reach out to her. Absolutely. Gotcha.
Perfect. Perfect. Hit me up, and I'll send you her information.
That sounds good. Is there anybody you want to
All right,
shout
man.
out?
I appreciate
Anybody want to shout out before we end?
you. Man, shout outs are crazy. I shout out my folks, shout out my family, shout out the friends, shout out our staff. Go Tigers, shout out our girls. Um, yeah, I could go for days. Shout out my man upstairs, shout out God. Shout out my dog Simba, shout out um Shout out Coach Poppy. You get a special shout out. Shout out to everybody that helped me get to where I'm at today. Grateful for everybody. If I missed out on you, then just know it's all love. Shout out to y'all.
I know that's right. It's another fantastic interview. Thank you so much, Sydney, for jumping on the podcast. I'm sorry it took an hour instead of 30 minutes.
Hey man, it's all good. You said we were vibing.
Thank you. Hold on. Oh, hold on. Let me end it.